Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful individuals. It is another epi of League Unlock. Eric, Mark here with you guys for finally the first recap installment of MSI 2026 play-in stage. Full throttle, already got like 4 series under our belt, and well, nothing but 3 zeros to kick off the mid-season invitational, which really is probably not surprising to anybody.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. I think we would have, as fans, really liked to have seen maybe 1 or 2 games go the distance and really provide some fireworks, but hasn't been the case. Has been very convincing, very dominant victories all the way through, no matter the quality of opponent on the other side has at this MSI play-in stage to kick things off.
And you know what? We'll dive into the T1 KC series to start it off, and much like their Western brethren in Team Liquid, there was, at least in the middle of the series, Game 2, you see the advantage for KC. Again, it's roughly a 6k gold lead, and it's just not even the T1 team fighting specifically, it's the setup for these team fights that we have seen time and time again. Doran's Gragas kind of zigzags his way around, but just finding these unique angles that no other team can seem to find. And T1, again, steals a team fight that they have no business winning.
It's advantages that are truly earned for KC in this game that puts themselves in that position. But it didn't matter if it was 10 gold or if it was all the way up to the 4k 5k gold type of lead area that it was around. It was one of those things where you're waiting for those team fights, for those objectives, as you said, where T1 is just able to set up so well that it was okay. Sure, you've got a wallet advantage. Sure, you've got maybe one or half a completed item more type of thing. But prove that you can make it matter in these fights, and that's where we'll see if you're the real deal. Unfortunately, it was not the real deal for KC because, again, at those objective fights, T1 through the setup, through the execution, all these type of things leads to them finding a way back into the game, back into a position where they can start to dictate how the game is going to be played, and it's a quick and easy path to T1 to execute the victory from that point on.
And I mean, that second game, goes 35 minutes, and 35 minutes in a T1 versus Western matchup feels like a 60-minute game because it's not a 25-minute stomp,
Yeah, and this was one of those series, especially on the day, where it was very much quick business from T1 throughout the majority of this series. I think that Game 2 really is kind of the only true outlier when you're looking at it, but a dominant force from T1, and I think it all starts when you're looking at the bottom lane for this organization and how they were able to step up these players, because we are getting a different level, and we already thought they were heading towards this MSI in good form, but Pays and Kyria are lethal down there in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they have immediately stepped up here through now 2 straight series, a 6-0 start for T1. And even though in that third game KC does find an angle, they get a couple picks and go right to the Baron, and you have an 8-0 Gnar for Kana. 8-0, and he kind of proceeds to just get caught in back-to-back egregious positioning misplays, and then yes, this team comp that's completely built around the Lucian for Pays. My man, I've never seen a melee Lucian at times completely bait in entire teams.
Well, when you had the damage and you had the skill the way Pays was playing this third game, yeah, you can play Lucian that type of way, and it doesn't matter if there's an 8-0 Gnar on the other side, which was one of the unfortunate things in this third game, where those advantages, all those good things that were happening for Carmine Corp were pretty much only happening for Kana, for the Gnar within this matchup. So you were going to have to rely upon him having that signature big type of moment within a later team fight to swing things in your favor, to get that control. And it just never happened for this Carmine Corp group. And I think you can really, one of the big ones for me, mistake-wise, is looking back. And yes, he was, again, so far ahead, doing so well. But I look at one of the plays where he teleports down to the bottom side to hopefully clean up some kills and gets absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, leaving Doran completely free in the top side to farm away, clear out turret plates, everything else, get himself in a position, strengthening the overall capabilities of the T1 composition, which they, of course, was going to be the biggest problem later on in that game when you needed that key, crucial fight and big play from Kana, and it never arrived for Carmine Corp.
And no player is better than Doran at, great, the other top laner is 8-0. I'm going to be the guy who has the lasting play in one of the last team fights to win the game. Didn't really have that on the Yorick, but absolutely did on the Gragas game. And yeah, now listen, 6 games for Lucian, or for Pays and Kyria. But Pays over 1,000 gold differential at 15 and 8.5 kills per game across the first 6 for T1. And unfortunately, even though there were those positives from KC, now both of these series have felt a bit like a Red Bull League of its own kind of event where T1 is kind of just farming highlight reel plays.
Oh man, you just had to drop the Red Bull League of our own event on this one where, frankly, you're right. Those matches are feeling a little bit like that due to just how controlled, how dominant T1 has been able to play. And as you highlight, Pays specifically down in that bottom lane alongside his partner in Kyria have been a big reason for that. And Pays stepping up. And man, something about MSI and Pays just lines up so well the way that he is able to perform. It really has been those type of dominant showings from T1, and it leads then to the conversation about, okay, the match that we will have to set up the final in this play-in stage, which, of course, early reminder, these matches are, I think, about 4 to 5 hours later than the matches have been the last day or so of MSI, so keep that one in your little note bank for watching later tonight or early in the morning, whatever it works out for you. But T1, it sets up that matchup with Carmine Corp and Team Liquid. You need to show something. I don't care who it is, the Team Liquid side, the Carmine Corp, or both of you. But you got to show me something that leads me to think that you can take a game, take 2 games off of T1 and make it an interesting conversation in that play-ins finals. Or it is done and dusted. You can get the pen and paper out and put T1 into the main stage of MSI.
At the very least, we are talking about Team Liquid matching up against KC in that losers round, because I think this would go probably right to the top of the table of North America embarrassment if they had lost to Deep Cross Gaming. And not only do they win in convincing fashion, I would have even been disappointed if they dropped a game against this squad. And you know what? Jan, it turns out going up against this bot lane is a much easier one than Pays and Kyria, and he looks a lot more comfortable on the Lucian after, I'm going to be honest, he had a pretty abysmal series against T1. Even though Pays and Kyria were playing well, there were lots of misplays out of the Team Liquid bot lane. But people are harping on Deep Cross and the LCP as a whole, but guys, this is their 2nd seed. Team Secret Wales, they're not CFO of 2025, but let's not harp on an entire region, because otherwise we'd have to really be ripping the LCS as well.
People are going crazy about this one, and especially with just this short-term memory of going, oh yeah, Team Secret Wales doesn't exist. Guys, Team Secret Wales is real. They do exist. They're at this event later on, and they were the dominant force within the LCP this time around. And again, dominant force. They were absolutely out of control. The way that they were taking the region to new heights, the way that they were winning. And that's the thing that I think you got to respect. And I think that's kind of part of this equation for Deep Cross Gaming, where yes, you earned this spot, but are you up to that level that the top is at your region? There is a gap between that 1 and 2. And we know in various regions, well, okay, well, still number 2 is still good enough or close enough to number 1, where it is something you got to think about. The LCP maybe is in that territory, like the LCS finds themselves in a lot of times, where maybe there isn't a lot of punch outside of that number 1 weight. And I think that's the situation people are realizing this time around. And I think they're taking it out on the LCP, out on Team Secret Wales, when this is just simply a situation where you go, you know what? This is a good achievement, good spot, good experience, learning spot for Deep Cross Gaming. But this is very much a spot where, okay, out of our depth, need to come back and regroup, and hopefully we've learned something from this situation. But anybody going, the nuclear option to the top tier of, oh man, this is all about how bad the LCP is. Get out of here with that, man. You're gonna be caught with your pants down when Team Secret Whales shows up at the main stage.
Yeah, and listen, outside of Shaoxi, these are 4 players who haven't played internationally before, are so early on in their careers. The main sad thing I am for them is that they didn't get to play T1. I know they would have got absolutely slammed by 20,000 gold every single game, but especially with so many young players at any international event, I feel like it's a rite of passage to get slammed by T1.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of those top tier things that you are looking at an international event. Not necessarily T1, although obviously T1 is the biggest of those labels that you can look at targeting at an international event. But getting to go against the best of the best, the players that are stored, that are celebrated within the game, that's your opportunity here. And especially coming from smaller regions or teams that doesn't get this type of opportunity, yes, it's going to be looked at that type of way. So I think anybody going too negative on Deep Cross Gaming here has kind of lost the picture as far as who they are and what you're looking to gain from this type of event and what the realistic expectations could be for them, and how that differs though compared to then how you can view a Team Secret Whales in the main stage event.
And, at the same time, we're not harping on Deep Cross, just good for the experience. But we're not exactly going, that's the LCS, we're back, baby, after 3-0ing them.
Yes, which leads to that conversation about that next matchup for Team Liquid against Carmine Corp to finally earn that opportunity to get yourself out of these planes, an opportunity to lose once again to T1 and be eliminated from this event. But that's what's at stake here for both of these squads, and both of them need to show that level up in some sort of capacity to make you believe that it's possible in a game, in 2 games, whatever it's going to be, to make it an actual series against T1 in the finals of this play-ins.
And those, like the NA versus EU, this is a prideful match. It feels bad that most likely neither of them are actually going to advance, but both 3-0 Deep Cross, and maybe KC was a little bit more dominant, had some more fun. And then you look at how they matched up against T1. Both had a lead. KC was maybe more competitive start to finish, but still a significant drop between them. But I hope this is just a competitive series, and even if they both play at the highest level we've seen this split, like best case scenario, you maybe think they take a game off T1. Even forcing game 5, I'm hard pressed to see happening.
It's a miracle task for both of these squads in that sense, but this is one of those ones where the door is open still. It's a possibility. It might be, 99.9% closed type of thing, but whatever. That still is that chance, and that's what you play for on the day type of situation. That's why this matchup is on top of EU versus NA rivalry, bragging rights type of thing. So important that you earn yourself that next opportunity against this Goliath in T1 that is waiting for you in that play-in stage, which, by the way, I think should be one of those ones where you're sending a little sticky note to your number 1 seed, a G2, a Leon Gaming, and going, put a little extra hurt on Top Esports, on BLG if you can, on the LPL, for just making it a world where this was possible for the LCK, for a T1 to be down here in the play-in stage. I think that would be the message I'd send to my number 1 seeds. But for Team Liquid and Carmine Corp, you need to find the positive angles out of your matches, which, again, might be a little bit easier for Team Liquid just due to the way that the scheduling has worked out, where you had to take the T1 pill in the first day, and now you've gotten a good bounce back against Deep Cross Gaming that you can look at? Or is it going to be the other side, where, again, both of them have that win against Deep Cross that you can draw on at this event? But I need to see it from both of these sides, and I think really, again, the bottom lane, that's where I really need to see it from both of these teams, because right now, Pays, Kyria, they're looking at, it didn't matter that it's, this is your best young ADC, Jan? Khalees? These guys? No way. It surely couldn't be. And that can't be the reaction from the LCK bottom lanes when you are stacking up against them, and especially for teams like Team Liquid, like Carmine Corp, where your main power point, your big selling point, is your star ADC down in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and I feel like bot lane is often the reality check Western squads get when you're the dominant domestic one, and then you match up against, a Korean duo, and you go, oh wow, we are light years away from these guys. But in this matchup, still KC are going to be the favorites. I think probably both are thinking that. Depend how sizable you want to say. It's probably in like that 65-35 range, 60-40, something like that for me, because KC has been that much better domestically.
I'm maybe on the extra dosage of hopium and copium here. I'm gonna go 55-45. I'm gonna splice it up just a little bit here in that sense,
LCS
because what I'm sold on here is Quid. And I think today's performance from Quid is a big part of that, what we were seeing from him and how he can be a factor within that head-to-head against Carmine Corp, right? Can get that edge for me. For Team Liquid, it's Quid and what he is able to do in the mid lane and how you can be run through as a team and facilitate from his power, his strength point within these games. And I think that's going to be something I would like to see Team Liquid capitalize on. And if you're Carmine Corp, well, Kana, dial it up. This is your opportunity to get another chance at your old squad in T1 and get some revenge in Korea. This would be a wonderful opportunity, but you got to earn it. And getting to be a star part of how you get there against Team Liquid, against an LCK top laner of the past and Morgan, yes, that is the answer for me for Carmine Corp. So that's me. Again, yes, the priority has to be looking at that bot lane matchup because of how these teams are, how and who is in that bottom lane. But you're also looking at the X factor positions, and for me, that's Team Liquid in the mid lane, and for Carmine Corp in the top side with Kana.
Yeah, I think Quid is maybe the one lane advantage you could give Team Liquid if things are going well. I know Jose Dioto and Yike are kind of comparable as well. But how about Doran matching up against these squads? I'm playing Kana and Morgan? What's going on matching up against these Western teams?
Yeah, Doran didn't get the memo in the top side about what's been going on with that, having to match up against those guys. A little bit of a funky storyline that he's had to go up against, and probably having maybe a different conversation to the rest of his other T1 members on how things have gone. But I do like that you bring up that jungle matchup, because I think that is kind of a weird, push where it is nobody has the real decisive advantage. I will lean towards, and maybe again a little biased, a little hopium copium, I am leaning towards Jose Dioto and the effect that he has been able to have for Team Liquid when things are going right, in comparison to Yike, where I think that can be one of those edges, one of those advantages in that 1v1 is what Jose Dioto can bring.
Either way, this is the highest stakes silver medal best of 5 that we're going to have at an international event, maybe even this year, not to be too dramatic. Outside of MSI, we did have a little fun streamer tournament as well. Your boy Doublelift putting on the retirement bracket classic. You've got Voyboy coming in for a pentakill in Game 5 of the finals. You got Froggen showing all these 2026 pros how to play Anivia. There were so many iconic old LCS personalities matching up in this tournament. And probably, truthfully, we need more of these events.
We clown on these things every now and then, and it's an easy situation to do sometimes on the outside looking in. But this was awesome. This is exactly, yes, what we need more of, I think. Not only in the LCS space, within the entirety of League of Legends I'll expand to, but really for the LCS, it was a welcome dosage of the past, of some nostalgia. With our old heads, our old guards, the Unks still got it. They're still out there busting some moves on Summoner's Rift. And by the way, as you mentioned, Voyboy dropping that pentakill in the finals. Ooh, love to see that one in this event. I think this was fantastic. I want to give Doublelift and everyone else involved their props, their shout out for getting this thing going and how it did play out. It's only one of these things where I think is going to get stronger moving forward, especially with the announcement of League of Legends Classic coming on through for these old heads, for these unks. We can really dial in that nostalgia and find the exact season, the right era of League of Legends that you truly want to go back and revisit and see, and you're getting able to revisit it with some of your most favorite players of the past. This was a great event, really was a wonderful addition, and one of these side appetizers, I'll call it, for what was going on with the real deal main circuit MSI event going on. So very much so happy to see this one go the way that it did. And I think it's one of these ones where you're right. We got to see more of this in the League of Legends space.
You're telling me I could potentially see Hotshot GG on Season 1 Nidalee in a tournament again, coming to an event near you?
I'm telling you that. I'm telling you maybe next time Bjergsen is able to also squad up with the team. Yes, this is one of those things where, again, maybe it's just the nostalgia, the rose-tinted glasses of this whole situation, but I think getting to see some of these unks, getting to have some of the, again, maybe less stressed environment type of interactions as well, and getting to go back and having that opportunity now with League of Legends Classic to provide another different angle of it. Yes, this is absolutely one of those things that I think is a major win in the scene and has got to be replicated.
Yeah, and, once they're going to announce more about this League of Legends Classic, I think after MSI Finals, we don't actually have that much info, but I feel like they might even break it up. You could do a couple of these, right? There's different eras. You go like legit early beta when the game was maximum jank, and you could probably go even up to like Season 5 or 6 at this point, I feel like, and pick a different era, play whatever style you want, or a rotating game mode, whatever it is. They got lots of options.
Frankly, given how much and how fast the game has been changing and evolving and adding different elements in 200 years of Riot Champion design and all these type of things, frankly, I think Season 8 is almost retro classic now in that type of consideration, where, again, you would want the different options to select exactly which era, which metas and patches you're going into in that regard, and having that be fleshed out is one of the things you need to see more of from the League Classic announcement. But man, this was a great event, really fun time, and the future for these type of events is only better and should be capitalized on by the League of Legends community.
You can't convince me that this wasn't perfectly timed with that Classic announcement. It seems too poetically perfect in that way. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you, absolute stunners.